We're now 30 movies deep into the MCU. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris and welcome back to another video. So today I'm giving you my thoughts on Black Panther Wakanda Forever, the latest MCU film that just hit theaters. And before I do, be sure to hit that like button, comment down below your thoughts on this movie and your expectations if you have not yet seen it, and be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified for all of my future reviews just like this one. So Black Panther Wakanda Forever had the daunting task of continuing the legacy of Chadwick Boseman after his passing. And, putting all that aside, did this movie even succeed as its own entry in the MCU? I have a lot of thoughts, some positives, some negatives, and all that, so I'm just going to dive right into it. I'll start with the things that I absolutely loved about this movie. Number one, Namor. This is a new great villain in the MCU in my opinion, and something that this franchise has lacked time and time again, especially in phase 4. It seems like by now they would have it down to, introduce a great villain that sort of carries the show, and that's exactly what they give us here, because Namor is fully fleshed out almost more than any other character in this movie through flashbacks, and his motivations are fully understood, so much so you could arguably root for him in this movie, which is crazy to say, but the performance is amazing, and I just really enjoyed any moment or scene that he was on screen. I feared this character, and he had a commanding screen presence, and I'm probably going to pronounce his name wrong, so I apologize, but Tenoch Huerta really killed it in this performance, and you can just feel for him so much so. It rips your heart out at times. And that's what makes a great superhero villain to me, is when you just feel for this character almost as much as your main protagonist. We also get introduced to Riri Williams, Ironheart, in this movie. Far and away one of the best parts of this movie as well. She's just this college kid who's kind of scrounging to make it through, doing other tech projects and homework for people, but she's so damn brilliant. She designs her own Iron Man suit. She's got a ton of cool tech, and she's very quippy. I love her chemistry with the rest of the characters in this movie. Her and Namor, without question, were the highlights for me, and anytime they were on screen, I found myself fully locked in and enjoying it. And anytime there's a new MCU movie, we're gonna have our fair share of action sequences, and there's a few in this movie that particularly stand out. One, I'd say, in the first act involving a car chase with Riri Williams, and that was sick. The choreography there and just the way it was shot, truly stunning to me, really locked me in, and it was like at nighttime on the bridge. It was just so cool to see, and as a huge Iron Man fan myself, it's really, really nice that we kind of have a new Iron Man in Riri Williams. I think she's gonna fill that role perfectly, and I really want to see more of this character. So stoked to see her in her own show. So those are some standouts for me, but I will say this. I didn't really find like anyone was carrying this movie. Obviously, rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. He carried the first Black Panther movie with his screen presence. I don't feel like anyone really rises up to the occasion to cement themselves as like the leader of this movie, the full-on hero of this movie. And I know they're trying to make it Shuri, and she has her moments to shine, but it almost feels like more of a team movie, and I understand that, we're trying to figure out who the new Black Panther is going to be over the course of the runtime, but I just never fully latched on to a lead character in this movie. As great as Shuri is, Okoye has her moments, Nakia, Queen Ramonda, there are so many characters in here that it's like almost difficult for me to fully latch on to a leader in this movie. I couldn't talk about this movie without talking about the runtime. It's 2 hours and 41 minutes. I thought this might be problematic going in, and damn does this movie feel long. I think it has some serious pacing issues. I literally found myself dozing off and jolting back up in the movie theater. There'd just be some scenes where my interest was definitely waning. We would get a riveting scene, where Riri Williams is introduced, or Namor's introduced, and then we'd take a back seat, and there was weird subplots in this movie, some involving Everett Ross, others involving Nakia, where I never felt like the movie had a clear sense of direction. In a way, I guess it felt like it was all over the place at times. I also can't stand how we're 30 movies in, and it still feels like we're following the same template of the MCU, and it builds up to this big battle at the end in the sky or in the water. It's just like, how many times can we continue to do this and feel fresh? Feels somewhat predictable in the end. I am happy with a certain decision they made near the end that is a spoiler, because if they had gone through with something, this movie would have fallen victim to pretty much every other MCU movie, and a huge gripe that I have. Very much dancing around spoilers there, by the way. Now, obviously, I have to talk about the fact that Chadwick Boseman is not in this movie, and does the movie do a good job of commemorating him? At times, it definitely does. There are moments where, the emotions are felt, and you really feel for this character, and in many ways, it feels like an actual commemoration of his life. But at the same time, to me personally, kind of felt a little rushed. I wish we would have been able to spend more time in certain moments as an audience. You can kind of infer what moments I might be referring to. Felt a little jumbled and rushed through at times to me. I wish they really, really took their time with it, especially in the early openings of this movie. And that's another thing. The early 30 minutes of this movie, really all over the place. Kind of hard for me to fully get locked in. Once Riri Williams comes into the picture, I was on board and found myself enjoying a lot of this movie. Didn't hate this movie by any means. I thought it has its fair share of entertainment. As I sit here talking this out, I'm enjoying it more looking back on it. But all that being said, the 2 hour 41 minute runtime, very unnecessary. I think you could chop out about 15-20 minutes of this, has some serious pacing issues, but Namor's a scene stealer, Riri Williams is an absolute scene stealer. I love the immersiveness of it, the world building continuing in Wakanda, just seeing this wonderful world again and kind of escaping into it. really cool. But I do have my fair share of issues as well, as I feel like this franchise continues to fall victim to its own template and just can never break free from it for some reason. Black Panther Wakanda Forever is worth watching, definitely. I don't know if I'll see it again in theaters, or I'll probably catch it on Disney Plus, which will be in a few months. Don't hate the movie, wanted to love it more, but I think upon rewatch, I might actually like it more. Now, is this movie better than the first Black Panther? It's hard to say. At this very moment, I still prefer the first one, I think. Kind of like a mid-tier MCU movie, but it definitely has its moments to shine. I watched it last night. I had to sleep on it to really sit on it, but as I've talked about it more, some of my issues have kind of been ironed out, and I'm starting to feel a little bit better about it. See what I did there with the iron reference? So yeah, those are just my quick thoughts on Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Definitely let me know yours in the comments down below, and be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to be notified for my future Marvel content, which I have a lot coming out in the next few days. Probably a spoiler review as well, so if you want my in-depth thoughts, stay tuned for that spoiler review. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.